Hello everybody, it is your boy Big Citrus, and welcome back to a brand new Apex Legends video. And today we're going to be doing what your favorite Apex Legends weapon says about you. Now you may have seen the what your Apex Legends mains is about you, it did pretty well. I was not expecting it to at all, and today I figured, well, let's just make another video like that. I've already made what your favorite Apex skins is about you, but today we're going to be doing what your favorite Apex Legends weapon says about you. This is going to be concrete, factual, and absolutely the truth, and there's going to be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, if you've seen any of the videos on my channel, you would absolutely know that I am just a beacon of honesty and positivity. So there's going to be no negative Nancy BS in this video. We are going to be as kind as we possibly can, and we are going to talk about every person's favorite weapon with dignity and humbleness. Or at least we're going to do our best. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. We are just going to jump into it with the first weapon. The Flatline is the connoisseur's choice. This is what someone who thinks that they're above every single other person in the game uses. It's actually pretty good right now after about a good like 8 or so seasons of it being, kind of underrated and or garbage. But a lot of people have finally understood the Flatline. It's not bad. People can appreciate the absolute raw power this weapon has and how easy it is to use. It's a great close range weapon, and it can also be a great long range weapon. One thing that's true if the Flatline is your favorite weapon, though, is that you don't use the anvil receiver. I mean, who actually uses the anvil receiver on the R301 either? I know there's gonna be that one guy who says the anvil receiver is listen, the average anvil receiver fan versus the average full auto enjoyer. If I was using the Flatline, yeah, I only use it full auto. I can respect anyone who really likes this weapon, but one thing it absolutely says about you is that you're trying to be either A, meta slave and just using it because you see other people use it, or B, you're trying to be quirky and different because, the Flatline's underrated and you don't want to be caught using the Spitfire or the R3, you're built different, you're constructed alternatively. Also, I realize players who use the Flatline have a really weird habit of treating it like an SMG, but then just having a long-range weapon as, well, a long-range weapon. They'll usually have like a sniper, or a G7, or a 30-30, or a wingman, and they'll use that as their long-range weapon in every single scenario instead of the Flatline, which I guess makes some sense. There aren't a lot of people who would say the EVA is their favorite weapon, but I have noticed people who say the EVA is their favorite weapon are usually new players, because if we're being honest, anyone who has a decent amount of time in Titanfall or Apex would know for an absolute fact the Mastiff is just the way to go. It literally just used to be a care package weapon, and then now it is just ground loot, so I'm pretty sure that everyone here could agree that, yeah, it's not as good as the Mastiff. There might be people who have worse aim and prefer the EVA for how fast they can pump out shots with it, and that is the reason that they ultimately prefer the EVA to the Mastiff, and they're well aware of that. But at the end of the day, they hate people who tell them the Mastiff is better, or hell, even the Mozambique with the frickin' hammer. Hell, even the Mozambique with the hammer point shots can, hold its own against the EVA. But people at the end of the day know it is kind of another Flatline situation where they're doing it to be quirky and different, or maybe they are just absolutely yoked with the EVA. I've seen some people who just drop 3 squads in like 6 shots. It just happens sometimes. Here we are already with the R301. Whoo boy. Okay. I think it is honestly fair to say that since Apex's launch, the R301 has basically been the best weapon in the game during any meta. I would still say even right now that it is a top tier weapon, and I don't really think anyone is going to disagree with you if you think that. It is still insanely powerful, insanely good, and there's just not really a soul on the earth who is just gonna argue with you on that. It's just a really good gun. Like, there's nothing interesting to say really about you if the R301 is your favorite weapon. I mean, you're probably good at the game if you know it's like the best weapon and it is very easy to use. Like, you could either be a new player who's just trying to learn the game and, it's just the only weapon they use because of its simplicity, or you're someone who has 3,000 hours and just uses it because, well, it's it's, you know, hard to miss with it. Even though there have been better, you know, assault rifle options that have come since, you're still gonna use the R301 because it's your bread and butter, it's what you know. I wish I had more to say about it than that. I mean, obviously, I could just do the typical, oh, if you use the R3, you're a sweat, haha, but, I mean, aren't all Apex Legends players sweats? Moving on to the triple take. The triple take is an absolute banger of a weapon, and I will not hear anyone else dispute that. The triple take is it is a perfect, it is a 10 out of 10. Y'all remember back in the good old days, the precision choke and the triple take, and like people would just say, oh, it's not worth running if you don't have the precision choke, but you would just be fighting people at close range with the triple take like it was nothing. Oh, good days. People who have the triple take as their favorite weapon know that it's good close range, and they will literally just like use it like a shotgun and just run up to you, and then they'll just headshot you, you'll lose 90 health, and you'll just be like, what the hell was that? Getting sniped by someone who is actually insanely good with the triple take is incredibly annoying. Anyone who actually uses like a DPS character, you know, like Wraith for example, and they actually do snipe, they use the triple take. It's just a good gun, and they don't even need a scope on it. I see some people just run this with either the 3-cog or just the basic sights that come with the gun, and they absolutely just roll kids with it. And then people, you know, there are some people who think the triple take is overpowered, right? I cannot agree saying that, because, you know, at the end of the day, it is a sniper, and you do have to hit your shots. What being a person who always uses the triple takes is about you is you are a person who honestly is pretty good at sniping, but kind of needs like the, you know, like the fatter, like, you know, spray, like the fatter bullet, the wider shot to ultimately hit some people, because you're just not as precise as other people, and you really like pestering people and annoying them while your squad pushes up. But at the end of the day, you live and die by the triple take, and you will fight anyone who argues you. Alright, I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. There's a fan running in the background. There's a lot of echo. And I forgot to do the G7 Scout and the 3030 repeater. Alright, okay. Here we go. If your favorite weapon is a 3030 repeater, you probably shoot guns in real life and like semi-automatic weapons. And if your favorite weapon is the G7 Scout, you're not good with most snipers, but you like the G7 Scout because it can shoot faster. Okay, bye. The L-Star. The L-Star. I mean, I could just play like macros and tire, hey, now you're an L-Star here. I'd have to get permission for him to do that because, you know, it is his song, so I'm not going to. But I kind of just want to link people there and just have them watch that video because it's really funny and it's really good. But I'm actually just gonna sit here and I am just going to say, if you're like a person who actually uses the L-Star legitimately, it most likely does say that yes, you are in fact a bad player, and you don't really play Apex Legends all that often or even all that seriously. And if you're someone who's sitting here who has 6,000 hours on the game and 2 million kills with the L-Star, and you're yelling at me right now because I'm saying this, like, you know it's true. You have to know that you're being a shitter. Like, you have to know that this is the way things are. I don't really have much else to say about the L-Star, I'm sorry. I noticed one very specific thing about HEMLOK users, people who always use the HEMLOK, is a lot of them are, number one, Apex diehards, and they're also Titanfall diehards. Because, you know, if you ever played Titanfall, you know the HEMLOK was pretty good in that game too, and they are a big fan of it. Cross someone who obviously like uses the HEMLOK like almost in every match, and I'll just randomly get dropped by them, and I'm just like, oh cool, what happened to my health bar? I was full health, and then some guy with a Spitfire just ended me, and in actuality it was just a HEMLOK. Kid is really sweaty if he ever, like, if they put the HEMLOK into single fire mode and start tapping you, that's how you know that they are really sweaty. Like, this kid genuinely, like, just hits every single shot and they do not miss. Also, it's weird. Why do I always see Bangalore's running around with the HEMLOK? Like, I don't know, that's just the thing I've noticed. The HEMLOK is really for people who have good aim, but they don't necessarily want to use something like a sniper. Like, yeah, they don't really like long-range fights, they like taking that, you know, decent range fight, and they like, you know, popping off someone's armor and then moving in with a close range weapon, or they like completely sniping with the HEMLOK because it kind of just is that good. The Mozambique. It's not your favorite weapon. Look, I know that it has definitely gotten way better over the past few seasons and is even good now. It's not your favorite weapon. There is not a single person on planet Earth. I know you're gonna comment. I know you're typing in the comments right now. No, I love the Mozambique. I've always used it. It's always been underrated. No, there is not a single person on planet Earth. Look me in the eyes. No, the Mozambique is not your no. It's not your favorite weapon. You don't exist. You are not valid. I feel like I'm about to start like hate speech because I'm talking shit on the Mozambique. But like, doesn't everyone agree on this? I know it's not that bad anymore. But is it your out of every weapon in Apex? You're gonna tell me it's your favorite? No. This segment is over. Speaking of which, we have now come to the P2020. Whose favorite weapon is the P2020? Honestly, I know there's gonna be that person who's like, oh, I run it with the, yeah, I like it with the Mozambique. I love the hammer point rounds. No, the P2020 is not your favorite weapon. You're gonna come in here and tell me it actually has like as much DPS as an R99. No, you're not. You're not doing this. The P2020 is not your favorite weapon. It is not. I do not get. No. Bad. The Sentinel is actually maybe some people's favorite weapons, and like, I can understand that. I have been on record of being a huge Sentinel hater. I mean, number one, it takes shield cells to get max charge, and if you miss that shot, you're pretty much screwed, and that's not fun at all. And I think most people would agree that there are better options in terms of sniper. I mean, literally every sniper better. The charge rifle, the longbow, and the triple take are all definitely better options. But like, yeah, I guess if the Sentinel is a gun you really like, I can understand that. But at the same time, it's just, why though? Like, it has to do something with the charge shots. I mean, yes, maybe if you have the best aim in the world, and I know that people do like the iron sights on it, yeah, you are doing ridiculous damage with that charge shot. But that's only going to be like the top 1% of players. You might just be someone who likes the challenge of using it, but that's all I can think of. The Devotion. Oh boy, another LMG. People who like only use the Devotion are people who just for whatever reason seem to get a lot of kills, but they're not usually winning that many games. Like, yeah, they're dropping bodies because the Devotion, even without a turbocharger, is still ridiculous, and with one it is easily the most broken weapon in the game, maybe? I don't know. But I don't know, these people never seem to be the best players, like people who just only use the Devotion. They never seem to be too high skill. They're usually maining like an off-meta hero half the time, and it's, I don't know. I kind of wish I had more to say about them. Obviously, there are some, of course, you know, TTV, Wraith, and Horizon Sweatlords who only use the Devotion and obviously are dropping 20 kills every single match. But for the most part, I see those dudes, you know, running like the R3, the Wingman, just something like that. And, you know, comparatively, it's just very interesting, because the Devotion main is just a person who knows that, yeah, I don't really have the tracking necessary to drop that many kids, but I do love the DPS of this gun, and this is kind of perfect for me. I'm not trying to talk major shit on Devotion users, but, I mean, come on now. Also, speaking of the Wingman, there are two types of people who only use the Wingman. People who are actually gods at the game. Absolute gods among men who know that it is a sniper pistol, absolute god tier weapon, but is also insanely good close range. They don't even need a frickin' hop up on it to do well. They are just that good. And then there is this guy. This guy thinks that they are absolutely cracked with the Wingman, when in reality, they could not hit the broadside of Jupiter, and there's really not much that is ever going to change that, so they're trying to practice with the Wingman to actually, you know, get better, which I absolutely respect. Trust me, listen, I absolutely respect someone trying to use a hard gun to use and getting better by using it, but the problem is using it again and again after every single match and not really getting any kills. Doesn't that have to be frustrating when you could just use the Spitfire, something like that that's not hard to aim with? Like, listen, knowing your limits as a player is very, very, very good. And I think it's time for a lot of people who use the Wingman. I mean, I used to be one of these people. I'm finally good with it now, but it's definitely not the only weapon I use. Also, you can bet your sweet bottom if they actually only use this weapon, they have the Death Ray legendary skin for it because it's easier to aim with it. Most likely a TTV Sweatlord, but probably a good player overall. And finally, we have arrived at the Mastiff. I mean, this is my favorite gun, so I don't know. Who doesn't like the Mastiff? I mean, like, it might not be your personal favorite gun. I realize it's like most people's second favorite gun because, you know, it's a secondary weapon. But it's always good to have a Mastiff. All you will ever need for it, if you even want it, is a sight and then a purple shotgun bolt. That's just so nice not having to get as many attachments. I mean, I could say that this is just every player in the game, but I'll try and say some specific things about people who mainly use the Mastiff. If they mainly use the Mastiff, this dude is probably a god, and they probably play a really aggressive character like Octane, maybe Bloodhound, or Pathfinder, and they play a very aggressive playstyle with them, and will just full-on charge into you and just drop 3 shots and drop your whole squad. These people don't even seem to be affected if they, like, don't have a shotgun bolt or not. They just run in there and they just go crazy. And they'll also probably have a cool skin for it. I mean, if it's any gun's your favorite weapon, you'll probably have a cool skin for it. But especially for the Wingman and especially for the Mastiff. I wish I had more to say, but it's just that good of a gun that I don't really know how specific I can get. When I'm talking about the RE45 and the Alternator, I'm talking about both of them because they're pretty much the same gun. And here we have arrived at the RE45. I actually am going to defend this weapon, as kind of crazy as that sounds. I have always really liked the RE45, and people who use it are interesting to say the least. They're someone who absolutely 100% knows that it is not the best close-range light ammo option, but they're going to use it anyways, and it's really good at the start of the game. Like, people who love the RE45 get really excited when they find one at the start of the game, because they know they can actually drop a lot of people with it with consistent headshots. This is the person who can make the best of any bad situation. If they're not finding a good gun, they will pick up the RE45 because they know they can do miracles with it. All they need is a purple light mag and they'll probably be fine. There aren't a lot of these people, but if you see one in your squad, you can almost guarantee that they are an entirely new player or a very good player that you want to keep around. The charge rifle is interesting because recently I've noticed a lot more people have started to use it, like a lot more people have started to use the charge rifle. So it's a lot more hard to pin down at this point in time, but I would say that you're not necessarily good at sniping. I realize the charge rifle is mainly for people who aren't very good at sniping, but they still want to do massive amounts of damage from long range and just be, you know, like a general nuisance. They like the fact that ammo is and, like, isn't a problem with this. Like, as long as they just, you know, are landing their beams, they have actually a lot of ammo. And this is the type of person that plays either insanely passively or insanely aggressive. There is no in between. This is like the Wraith, like, full inspecting her knife, running in your face, you know, just trying to, like, melee you and then just charge rifle you up close after they land, like, one decent beam hit. Or this is the person who literally will sit inside of a building, even if they're not playing a defensive character, for an entire match, shooting you through bars and windows. And finally, the final energy weapon, the Volt. I really like the Volt. It is maybe my favorite weapon. Maybe. No, the Mastiff is still probably my favorite. I don't know. But the Volt is definitely up there for sure. Most of the people who love this weapon now used to only use the R99, and then since they have moved on to the Volt even after it had gotten nerfed, and they still love it and they still use it because it's good mid-range, it's good close range, it is honestly kind of just the everyman's weapon, and it just feels so precise, and it just has some of the best iron sights in the game. This person probably isn't the best Apex player, but they are definitely someone who is good and they like taking close range fights. They usually play like a middling character that can be aggressive and defensive like Mirage or Bangalore or Fuse. People who love using the Vol are always actually like really good at head glitching, I've noticed. Like they're just really good at just like strafing people, and they're also usually a pretty good movement. I don't know, that's just something I've noticed about people who use the Volt in specific, is they're just like a gone across the map. They just know the B-hops. Honestly, most people love the Volt, as do I, and it just says that you're probably just a Chad. Or a Sweat, or both. Yeah, probably both. For the last heavy weapon, we arrive at the Spitfire. This has kind of been branded as the harder I can aim, must spray 50 billion rounds with Mr. Spitfire since day one, and it was basically the same way in Titanfall as well. Pretty much, this is the gun that people use when they just need to absolutely unload on kids from whatever range. Close range, long range, and they need to just do lots of damage, and they need to not worry about reloading. These people get a legendary mag, and it is over free. It's weird, though, because with how easy this gun is to use, I notice people who, like, consistently use the Spitfire are really good at the game. I know they're going to be the people who disagree with me and say, oh, no, it's just for noobs, but nah, I notice people who, yeah, just only use the Spitfire are usually pretty pog. Like, yes, they loot slow, yes, they play so, they are the king of the third parties. I feel like anytime I get third party, a Spitfire is always involved. Back when I started playing, this was my favorite weapon because I wasn't the greatest player. I've obviously gravitated away from it, but anytime I have to use a Spitfire, I'm never complaining, and it's always funny to see people get mad. And you're probably one of the people who revels and that people still get mad about the Spitfire. And finally, we arrive at the end of the light ammo weapons with the R99. Basically, the king of the Sweat Lord weapons. There's not really much else to say. If your favorite weapon is the R99, you've been using the R99 since day one. Hell, you even run the R99 and the R3 together sometimes, so you are literally just consuming all of the light ammo on the entire map, like no one else gets any. You definitely are a Twitch streamer for sure, like, you know, whether you have 10,000 viewers or just 10, you are definitely someone who is streaming, because it's just the sweaty gun. You definitely have a legendary skin for it, and you definitely only have fire for it, unless you're getting a sick clip, then for some reason you'll ADS and just lock on to kids. But of course, there are those people who only use the R99 who, for some reason, aren't actually good at the game, and they'd be a lot better off just using an AR like a close range weapon, similar to the Flatline. But hey, it's the Sweatlord gun, it's the thing that they see people get all the sick clips with, so it's what they gotta use. You definitely do not play a defensive character. I have never seen a defensive character like Caustic, Gibraltar, or Watson ever use an R99, at least when they're not sitting in a corner. Also, if they down one person, they will just reload immediately. I'm talking immediately. Finally, we arrive at the Longbow, my personal favorite sniper rifle. I know the Longbow has kind of dropped off, like, in popularity in, you know, like, the recent year, but ultimately it is still very good. This is someone who's pretty much been using, if they use the Longbow still consistently, you can promise yourself that they have basically been using it since day one, because, you know, all other snipers have kind of come out and outclassed it recently, and there's not really any reason to still use it, except for the fact that you still love the fact that you could put the Skull Piercer on it and do that insane 190 headshot. It is something of beauty. Remember back in the day when the Longbow with max attachments was better than the Kraber? That good times. This is a person who will absolutely move in once they get that clean headshot. They will just take out their secondary, and then they will just go ham on this person. They will go absolutely insane. If it means securing one kill, that is all that matters to them. Or they will literally just continue to keep hitting constant headshots as your entire team falls to the ground saying, is this guy hacking? Is this guy cheating? I don't know. I've never come across a person who only uses the Longbow that was bad. I mean, they're definitely going to miss a couple shots in every freaking fight because it's just part of using the Longbow. These are people who play a defensive playstyle with an offensive character. Pretty much gonna do it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this content. Hopefully it wasn't too controversial. Hope I don't make too many people mad. Join my community Discord because we're finally starting to get some people in there. We're so close to 5,000 subscribers. I'm doing a $30 giveaway, by the way, so if you guys want to join my Twitter or my Instagram or my community Discord, that'll triple your chances of winning if you do it for each one. I'll announce it with... And that's pretty much it. And I want to say thank you guys and have a damn good one.